eviction moratorium struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. Landlords can now start collecting rent again, but millions of Americans can also now potentially be thrown out of their homes in the middle of this pandemic. Late last night, the Supreme Court ended the CDC's latest eviction ban 5 weeks before it was scheduled to expire in October. President Biden has extended the moratorium earlier this month, but a group of landlords challenged that, saying Congress never gave the CDC that authority. On what happens next to the millions of tenants and landlords, here's CNBC's Contessa Brewer.
Across the nation, the Supreme Court's ruling on the national eviction moratorium has caused confusion, questions, and real concern.
I don't want to be on the street.
Yvonne Bryant is among the estimated 21,000 people in danger of eviction in Chicago. Nationwide, 6.4 million households are behind on rent, according to a federal survey. In Nebraska, landlords already are pressing to push people out.
We had a case just this morning where yesterday at 5 o'clock, I thought the CDC eviction moratorium was going to protect them. And then come this morning, it didn't. And it's a family. There's kids.
New York's new governor calls the Supreme Court decision appalling and insensitive. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi described it as arbitrary and cruel. Both women have promised to explore legislative solutions to the problem. And the president is asking state and local leaders to block evictions.
Our objective is to keep as many people around the country in their homes as possible.
But landlords argued in court they've lost as much as $19 billion a month. That's especially tough for individual landlords who own half the rental properties across the U.S., according to industry experts.
This decision is long overdue. The real harm has been impacted upon the small landlords who had tenants who were not impacted by COVID who did not pay. Two, had tenants who have absconded and abandoned the property.
Dean Hunter tells me there will be no tsunami of evictions. He says because there are hundreds of programs and hundreds of billions of dollars available in rental assistance, though only 11% of the Treasury's rent relief funds have been paid out. And he points out eviction is a process. In New York, for instance, people who have applied for rent assistance cannot be evicted while the application is being processed. But in Nebraska, I'm told, the number of evictions tripled last year just in the week after the state's own moratorium expired. So, Shep, we'll see what happens.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching.
All right, Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Salutation to all the brothers and a few sisters out there. Unto us like foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. It's a quick show through the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Hey, here comes the pain. Here comes the pain. Regardless what they say at the last end, everything's gonna happen. This storm, this flood of it's not what I'm looking for. This flood of bad situation is gonna happen all at once. Now, we don't know if there's gonna be an attack next month or not. We don't, it is what it is. But we know that the unemployment is gonna be cut off, and a lot of people are due to be kicked out. The Spirit had it where I believe it was the apostle I was making mention of the dark winter scenario. It's something that was been written since 2001, I believe, and it in details of bad things that are supposed to happen. And it just things so supposed to happen. If it don't happen in September, it's gonna happen in October. Overall, all these bad things are starting to happen. And tonight, they're talking about a hurricane that's gonna hit Louisiana. It started as a category 1. All of a sudden, it shot up to category 4. The strongest storm since 1850. You know the routine. How Esau like to hype certain things. But yeah, this thing that's about to go down is about to get real nasty and ugly, because the CDC have no rights technically to anything that was just them flexing their say. All right, they never had no rights, period, to do what they was doing. But to show you the greed of America, how a bunch of landlords who private owners can't even afford to live in their own property or remove somebody from their property because the banks themselves is not gonna ask. The banks they're not asking. I'm sorry, they're not letting that thing go slide. That is the actual banks they're the ones that really pushing for the landlord to receive the money. All right, so the landlord and the tenants at war with one another, and it's neither of their fault because the government shut down. And this is the pandemonium, the unrighteous decrees that was being placed. And they knew this thing was going to happen. They was just allowing this thing to build up in order for them to really hit the hammer and the nail when it comes down to the final stretch. All right, I believe they said that the money was dished out, but not the majority of landlords didn't receive the money from the U.S. government or the tenants. So where the fuck did the money go? Corruption all over the place, man. This is a certain percentage. And here in New York, they said that if the landlords don't use the money, they're gonna lose the money. So, hey, man, we living in some beautiful times, actually. Isaiah 10:1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and write grievousness which they have prescribed. Let's look up the word grievousness. Toil, trouble, labor, trouble, mischief, toil, labor, toil that is wearing effort, hence worry. Ain't these people worrying? They don't know if they're gonna have a house. Nobody's gonna know if they're gonna have enough money. All right, jobs is pressuring people to do something that they're not supposed to do. All right, just because it's Amal, good, get the hey. But all these things are coming is hitting at the dew point. All right, that's why the scripture says great tribulations is gonna take place, perilous times, man. We living in those times. It says whether of body or mind. And when you pass on grievous laws, that messes with your mind, which entails breaks down the body. And this devil knows exactly what he's doing. According to East, the best way to live is live a stress-free life. And when you're accustomed of making money for yourself or just making money and paying a whole bunch of bills, now everything's skyrocketing, food costs and right and so forth. Your mind doesn't rest. Your mind is always in a worry mode because you don't know if you're gonna eat or you're gonna survive, instead of just relying on the Lord. And this is how they got these people. And it says iniquity, labor, mischief, miserable, misery, painful, perverseness, sorrow, toil, travail, trouble, worrisome, wickedness. All right, and that's what they have prescribed. They etched it up, make it laws, because every single person is supposed to be able to have their own. But in this society, you're taught that the higher debt you can receive is how much money you have. It's just ass backwards. You can't afford a house on your regular base salary. And they say if you can't afford it, they don't want you to pay for it. They want you to pay by credit. So they'll up the ante to get you to on a higher level track. So this is what proves that Esau is a devil that the Bible speaks of. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be they prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's what Esau is doing. He has prescribed grievous laws. And kicking a man out of his house was one of the grievous things. Now women run the household and brings nothing but chaos. But he knew that. All right? That's what, it's basic stuff, but it's these scriptures affect life as it is. Proverbs 29:2 says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. The people are not rejoicing. People don't know what the hell's happened. All right, but when the wicked bear fruit, the people mourn, and the people are in a state of mourning. Nothing is more worrisome or psychological breakdown is when you don't know what's going on. You do if you're a law-abiding citizen, you do all the best that you can in order to live according to what society is telling you the right way to do it. And every way you turn, they always take it away from you. It leaves your mind in a terrible place, which entails break down your body, which entails bringing disease. When you bring in disease, you get sick. All right. And once you get sick, the only way you can get back to normal, which you can't get back to normal in this society because the society is built upon men's sickness, men and women's sickness, in order to profit from it. So this moratorium denial by the Supreme Court, I believe they said if one judge, pretty much if a judge go against anything or go for something, it crosses the whole land of the United States. So this is some unrighteous decrees that's being in display, which is going to lead the people to lose it, man. Second Ezra 15. I'm just gonna go to the point. 10, I believe. No. Second Ezra 15, and let's start at 15. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and what people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, because of what? In order for somebody to invade one another, that means that the condition is not well. If everybody have their own stuff, there's no reasoning for somebody to take somebody's other stuff unless there's a lack of something. All right? It said they should not regard their kings nor princes. The course of their action shall stand in their power, because the people are going to take the power into their own hand. The anarchy is going to be the law of the jungle out here, because they're pushing people to the brink of no return. Poverty would do that to anybody, but somebody that is not familiar with poverty or been in poverty and got out of it would never want to go back to poverty again. So they're going to take whatever they can from one another, and whatever the governors, the mayors, the local congressmen, people in that position of power tell them to do, they're not going to listen, because they feel deep down that they've been left to defend for themselves. And that is what's happening. People are starting to be left to defend themselves, take matters into their own hands, because the laws that's being pushed down and the conditioning that's being displayed is not well fitting for anybody. So we living in some trying times, man, which is beautiful. Now the pain really comes in. So the eviction moratorium is struck down. Let's see what take place. There's not going to be a 50 state people getting kicked out, but the effect is going to take a lot, and that's going to leave people that get kicked out to take matters into their own hands. For the people that have, they're going to take from them. And I just saw a video from a brother from Chicago. Basically, the mandatory, the Beetlejuice that's being displayed. A lot of officers, cops are not going for it. So thousands of officers pretty much are not going to be out there, which is going to lead to what? Lawlessness. All right. Oh, this is some. Oof. In fact, let me end it off on this. Some beautiful, beautiful times, man. Ecclesiastes 1:12, and I'll start to the point. 3. And the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinding cease, because they are few, and those that look at the windows be darkened. And that's the event that's taking place. The grinding has ceased. People, if you go back to the jobs, any job right now, hypothetically, you're not gonna get paid enough for your living costs, your modern day living costs, because everything is going up. Then on top of it all, that everything is going up, and there's no sign of reprieve. Inflation is taking a toll, and the services even is far worse. Somebody, I believe, one of them, somebody in a position of power said that now people have to work harder in order to receive that retirement. So you go back, you try to build yourself back up, and here it is, they throw a whole bunch of monkey wrenches. This is a time when the keepers of the house is going to be in very discomforted position, because they themselves is going to be targeted for the pain that's being displayed to the local people. All right? So the doors shall be shut in the streets, which we saw all these events taking place last year. All right? When the sound of the grinding is low, and then that's where we at. We in a point of the grinding is low. And it says, and he shall rise up to the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Which, that's self-explanatory. Entertainment, music itself is at the lowest form, period. Because we in that time, we in a time of the threshing. We in a time of judgment. We in a time of the end of this hell. This is the best time to be in this truth, because now action is speaking more than ever. So with that being said, something real quick through the spirit. Hey, Brakateh Habashim Yahshai, may the pain continue. It's going to affect us, but the difference is we have the spirit to bounce back, and we have the spirit to move about, because we're about to be some pilgrims when shit really gets back. But overall, the Lord's going to be with us through the spirit. So with that being said, shalom to the elected nations, and shalom.